Hey, welcome back to the most curious corner of the internet. Here, every tiny fact rewires the way you see the world, one spark at a time. A quick flash of light cuts through the dark. Alright, let's jump into today's surprising twist. Picture a Viking. Go on. Big guy. Wild beard. Horned helmet. Screaming while charging into battle. Now, here's the uncomfortable truth, that Viking never existed. No horns. No constant rage. And definitely not just a bunch of mindless raiders. So where did that image come from? And who were the Vikings really? Tonight, we're pulling apart the legend and rebuilding the story with evidence. The Vikings lived over 1,000 years ago. They didn't leave behind films, podcasts, or self-promotion. What they left instead were fragments. Ships buried in earth, bones beneath farms and churches, runes carved into stone, and stories, mostly written by the people they scared. And here's the problem. History written by enemies rarely aims for balance, it aims for drama. That's how myths are born. Let's deal with the most famous image first. Horned helmets. They look iconic, they look fierce. They look completely wrong. Not a single horned helmet has ever been found in a Viking burial. Not one. So, where did the idea come from? Two places. First, the 19th century. Opera costumes, romantic nationalism. Artists wanted Vikings to look wild, ancient, and theatrical. Second, confusion with something much older. Horned helmets did exist, but in the Nordic Bronze Age, around 900 BCE. That's more than 1,000 years before the Vikings. Those ceremonial helmets were later misattributed to Viking culture. And the myth stuck. Real Viking helmets. Simple, iron, built for survival, not spectacle. If the most iconic image is wrong, what else are we getting wrong? Here's a detail pop culture almost never mentions. Viking wasn't a race. It wasn't a nation. It wasn't even a permanent identity. It was an activity. To go Viking meant to travel, to trade, raid, explore, or settle. Most people in Scandinavia were farmers, craftspeople, parents trying to survive brutal winters. And the evidence goes further. DNA from Viking graves in Scandinavia reveals people with Irish and Sami ancestry buried alongside locals. Same rights, same respect. That tells us something important. Viking society wasn't defined by ethnicity. It was defined by participation. Belonging mattered more than blood. Vikings didn't stay in the north. They moved a lot. They reached North America, confirmed at Meadows, dated to 1021 CE, the Mediterranean, the Middle East, Central Asia, North Africa. We know this because Scandinavian hoards contain thousands of Islamic silver dirhams coins minted in Abbasid caliphates. These weren't souvenirs, they were currency. Viking ships made this possible. Light, flexible, strong enough for oceans, shallow enough for rivers. They didn't just raid coastlines, they connected continents. Another myth, Vikings couldn't write. In reality, they used runes. Today, over 6,000 runestones are known in Sweden alone. These weren't random scratches. Some are legal markers, some are records of travel, some are deeply human. Runestones speak of sons lost overseas, of partnerships, of honor and memory. One inscription, attributed to Torsten Skark, is almost poetic, a public act of remembrance carved in stone. This wasn't a culture obsessed with chaos, it was a culture obsessed with being remembered. Here's where modern science changed the story completely. Large-scale genetic studies from 2020 through 2023, led by teams across Scandinavia and Europe, revealed something shocking. Viking era remains show ancestry from Southern Europe, the British Isles, the Eastern Baltic, Central Asia, including Sami and Irish individuals buried in Viking contexts. Some Vikings weren't blonde, some weren't Scandinavian by birth. And yet, they were Vikings, because being Viking wasn't about appearance. It was about culture, networks, and shared life. The legend says Vikings were uniform. The evidence says they were global. Yes, Vikings fought, but not like movie monsters. The goal wasn't endless bloodshed. The goal was advantage, speed, surprise, psychological pressure, and the equipment proves it. The Gemanbu helmet, the only nearly complete Viking helmet ever found, dates to the 10th century. No horns, just a simple iron cap and nasal guard, chain protection. Designed to work, not to intimidate an audience. Vikings fought when it made sense, negotiated when it didn't. Monasteries weren't attacked out of hatred, but because they were wealthy and poorly defended. That's not madness. That's cold calculation. So why do we still believe the myths? Because simple stories travel faster than complex truths. Savage Vikings make easy villains. Real Vikings, traders, settlers, diplomats, don't fit neatly into a stereotype. But archaeology doesn't lie. The Vikings weren't standing outside civilization. They were shaping it. When you remove the horns, the shouting, the caricature, you don't lose the story, you gain a better one. A culture that traveled the world, absorbed outsiders, left marks from Canada to Central Asia. History doesn't get boring when myths collapse, it gets real. And real is always more fascinating. Thanks for hanging out till the end. Love having curious minds here. If this sparks something, hit like, subscribe, and tap the bell for the next drop of wonder. And if you're still in discovery mode, pick another video, it gets even better. See you in the next one.